Welcome to sunny Cologne. I've got 4 hours in this city. Is it a city or is it a town? Anyway, whatever. So the main reason I'm here is FIBO, I think it is. It's the fitness industry. I don't know. It's some sort of expo for the fitness industry. And on show there is the new Veloton. Where would we be without a good old cycling montage? Now let me try and explain exactly what Veloton is, what was going on there, and hopefully give you a better understanding of what's going to be coming in the near future from Veloton. Before we carry on, before I tell you any more, the version that I played at FIBO is slightly different to, I guess, what is going to be the first incarnation of the beta that's going to go out to testers, because well, basically what Neil's decided was that he was going to pull back on a few of the features just to allow it to be a single player unit so people can jump on and experience it. He just wanted to make sure that anybody that jumped on that bike at FIBO was able to ride it. So he got rid of the steering capabilities, the multiplayer capabilities, and obviously the braking capabilities as well. So what I actually experienced, although close to what we will be experiencing when it comes out to the general public in terms of beta, it was still not 100%. So let's talk about that experience that I just went through. So I went through one of the stages. There was around 6 to pick from, and I chose Nice to Nice. It was about 126 kilometers in total length, but it's scaled down to 1 in 5. So you can get an idea of how many. I think I was around between 25 and 30 kilometers. I can't quite remember exactly. Maybe just over 30. Anyway, I can't remember exactly how far it was for me. I didn't complete it all because it was hard. So they've broken the avatar's skill level down to A+, A, B, C, D, and E. So anybody that's raced on Zwift will understand those in terms of where the power to weight ratio is. So you can, if you want a very competitive race, then you have to look at where your power to weight ratio is. What group would that sit you in, and then go in that group, and hopefully you'll stand a chance of competing against these avatars. The beauty of it is no race is ever the same. So different riders will go off on the attack at different points. The way the race goes is entirely pretty much in your hands. If you want to chase down the brakes, then you can do. If you've got riders up in the brake, then you can just sit there. So as a single player game, as it was then, it was so much fun, and it's a great way to learn dynamics of actually sitting in a peloton. Formula One drivers use PlayStation games, Xbox games, and simulators when they've never been to a track before, so they will experience that track before they even get there, so they'll know the braking markers, where they can accelerate, where they can brake into turns, how deep they can turn into turns, and get a general feel of how the track links up together. And that's exactly the same with what you could do here. You could, as a brand new cyclist, a young guy getting into cycling, you can sit in that peloton and you can think, all right, I want to go on a break. I'm going to go and try and break these guys and attack and attack and attack. Or you can try and jump across to an attack and see how you fare when you are in a breakaway. Or you can sit in the peloton all day like I would and wait for that sprint. So it replicates real life cycling and real life peloton experiences. And again, because no race is ever the same, you're always going to be reacting to something else. Now, unfortunately for me, I reacted to the hills badly. When I saw the hills, I went out the back and I got spat in tremendous style. It was slightly embarrassing, to be fair, because there was a crowd watching and I was going backwards. But hey, I'm a fast sprinter. So. Another aspect of the beta at FIBO was the challenges, and one of them was a sprint challenge. So let's get back to FIBO and let's see how I get on in the sprint challenge. Pritch, explain it to everyone. So I'm going to sit within the peloton. I'm going to get towed along in the draft and then hopefully win the sprint and beat Peter Sagan. Piece of cake. Piece of cake indeed, Pritch. So this is the sprint challenge. Niels mentioned that there's going to be different variations on challenges in the beta. So this one's a sprint one where you basically have to sit in the wheels, draft as much as you can, and ultimately win the sprint at the end. There's also, he was mentioning, a breakaway challenge where you have to get in the day's breakaway. Closing the gap challenges where you have to actually jump across to a breakaway. There was peloton challenges in terms of positioning, so starting at the back of the peloton with 5k to go and making your way to the front. Obviously in this beta version there was no steering on, so those once steering comes into it, then those challenges are obviously going to come into it as well, and it's going to be great to actually practice these shorter events without actually having to commit to a full race and wait until you get to a sprint to actually practice your sprint. But as you can see here on the screen, that yeah, my sprint needs a bit of work on. My lead out needs a bit of a work on here because my avatar has just made his way to the front and he's pretty much taking all the wind here. As we go to 1k to go banner here under the Flamme Rouge, we've actually got 200 metres to go, so this is where the sprint's going to start. I'm at the front. I've led out my teammates, but there is no teammates there, so I've continued that sprint on. Continuation, I think we'll call that. Dylan Groenewegen and Peter Sagan both challenging for the win. That little lunge to the line just proves how good a sprinter this boy is. Give him the green jersey. Pritch won it. I'm sold. Whew. That was awesome. That was so cool. I'm done. Oh. Niels.
How are you?
I'm tired after that.
Yeah?
That was good fun though.
Was it fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Such good fun.
Super.
Yeah.
We're happy. What we can do with this platform, we can actually pay more attention to the tactics because of the draft. I think you feel it yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And when you go in front, you feel it much heavier.
Yeah.
And the positioning that you cannot pass the other avatars. So the tactics here is more intensive.
Yeah. It'll be good when the controlling of the avatar comes in as well, so you can
yeah, it's already there, and we do it with the bike too, in our own software. With the Pro software, and but so it's already there because in the game you do it with in the PlayStation game. So it's built in. It's only to connect it, but we choose not to have it for the people because it has to be easy for the people.
For sure, yeah. You don't want to overcomplicate it for someone who might be getting into cycling for the first time. You don't, You have to stay in the draft. You have to change gears and things like that. You just want to.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. You haven't tried it before. Yeah. You know other platforms too, so you are a little more.
Yeah. Different,
more prepared.
Totally different though.
Yeah. So
it's good. So now we're going to do a stage.
Now you will do a stage. Whoa.
let's talk about the gameplay briefly. The gameplay that I managed to take part in obviously didn't have the steering aspect, and it didn't have the multiplayer aspect. So I was racing all against avatars. But what I found was my avatar was very intuitive in where he was trying to be on the road. There was a few times where, you know, I'm obviously a lot slower going up the hill, so my avatar's getting in the way a lot and he's trying to move around and people are moving in and out and around him. But because the avatars are actual physical objects, they can't just go through each other. So it makes for a much more realistic feel when you're actually on the flat and you're riding, you know, in that draft, or there's a draft coming past you, there's a train coming past and you want to get on that draft, and the rider was quite intuitive on his own to try and get the best draft he could. So that was a great part of it. But when steering actually comes in, it's going to be interesting to see how they work it, because what I noticed was that the avatar, if you look at something like Cade, for instance, there seems to be there's 6 lanes on the track, and basically you move between the lanes. So you can't freewheel, you know, in between the middle of the lanes and just hover around. You're either in lane 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6, which is great. It's great, but what I noticed from the Veloton rider was that he was moving ever so slightly to the right, ever so slightly to the left, just jinking here and there and finding a little gap and then going through it if you accelerate. And hopefully when steering comes into it, you're going to have that whole road open to you, so you can just drift across wherever you want, and wherever you place yourself on that road, as long as there's no road furniture or there's no avatar there, then you can sit there. So for instance, when the wind becomes a factor in the race, which they have crosswinds in there. One other thing I want to touch on, obviously this is a console game, right? This is a Xbox, PC and PlayStation game. If this was a standalone game, like it is now, and I could put it into my Xbox, and then I could link my Xbox up to my smart trainer, I would pay for that game, just like I'd pay for any other console game that I play, MotoGP, Call of Duty, whatever it might be. If it was a standalone game like it is now, then I would purchase it and just ride through all those 21 stages without a care in the world that there's no one else with me. The fact that I can adjust the avatar's difficulty means that I can have a challenging race on my own without real people. And I know we're trying to make this whole indoor world as social as we can, even though we are sat on our trainers at home on our own. We're still trying to create this massive social aspect to it, where really, I mean, that game, I didn't need it to be social. If it stayed as it was now, introduce the steering, I think it's brilliant. I think it is absolutely brilliant. And now, before I leave the last words with Niels, I did a short interview with him, and I'm just going to play out some interesting stuff that he said, and hopefully he'll encapsulate everything I've said, and you can hear it from the horse's mouth, and then you can speculate on anything else that he might actually say in that. But one thing I've got to touch on, which everybody always goes on about when they first see any sort of new platform come in, is graphics. Zwift kind of set the bar in terms of graphics, and it appears that if the game doesn't have good graphics, then it's not good enough, where that's clearly not the case. You look at Cade, you see how far that's come, and people will still say the graphics aren't good enough. It's not about Cade today. It's about Veloton and how good those graphics are. See, the difference is Veloton are coming in with years and 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 years of experience and actual games. There's 15 years, maybe between 15 and 20 years of this game being out. So that means they've nailed the process in terms of graphics, how it works, what people want to see, how detailed the graphics need to be, and they've got a back catalogue so huge. Well, 15 years of different Tour de France stages. When they came to London, Paris, wherever the starts have been in those past years, they will have those stages. So the graphics, the game is coming in on a beta with amazing graphics, and that is going to help so many people come across to it. They're going to see it and they're going to go, I want to be part of that because it looks so goddamn exciting. You can jump straight in and be part of a 200-man peloton, and that's going to appeal to so many people straight away. It's not going to be like, oh, the graphics aren't that good. Oh, it doesn't look very good, because it looks absolutely stunning. And I don't know if I can say this. Can I say it? I'll put it in. Neil showed me some secret stuff. I can't say any more than that. But, oh my God. I would, no word of a lie, if he'd have told me it was real, I would have believed him. All right? So, the whole graphics thing, they've already got it nailed. It's only going to get better, and it's already way above anything else. It is already way above anything else. How they'll change it for the general public and Veloton as a platform on its own will be interesting, because obviously you think of things like Zwift, and if you're a 6-foot guy who's 300 kilos, the avatar will change. And I don't know if all the avatars on Veloton are always going to look like the typical professional cyclist. It'll be interesting to see if they actually adopt some different kind of graphics to allow the avatars to change their appearance in terms of size, in terms of, you know, thigh size, biceps and things like that, to really customize your rider. So you're not just, because I was riding what looked like a tall mountain climber. He was really skinny, and ideally I want my avatar to look like a bit of a sprinter rather than a climber. So it'll be interesting to see if they can implement that and make it a little more customizable for when it comes out in beta, and then obviously the official release whenever that might be. So now I'm going to hand over to Niels. This is just a brief interview I did with him, just to try and get more information, just to try and get it from the horse's mouth. If I'm a cyclist at home who wants to ride this, how soon can I ride it? When can I ride it?
You can ride it today. If I give you the bike and the software now, you can set it up at home. The only thing you can't do right now, you cannot ride online 200 people.
Yeah.
We are testing now for the multiplayer, and it's going forward. So let's say it so. It's not a game for single players. It is a multiplayer game, and this is how it's gonna be. But it can also be a single player game. We can make a mode where we have a mode now where you can do career, you can do stage races at home against the avatars in the different categories. And when you choose a category, it's also important to mention, it's not you that getting handicapped, it's the avatars. So we can compare to FIFA. So you have an easier mode. And even you are B, then you are better in the sprint, I know, for you. But in the uphill, a little difficult. For me, it's the same. So I getting skipped in my category. I get skipped uphill. If high mountain, then I get skipped. But if it is a flat stage, I can keep up with them. It's hard, very hard. But yeah, but it should not be easy. It should be realistic. So this is how we did it.
And then in terms of, if a rider doesn't have a Virtual Pro bike, or they want to play or ride Veloton, how long are they going to be waiting?
Well, we have a good cooperation with Tax, and we on FIBO we got contacts with a lot of other manufacturers that want to connect to the platform, and we are open. Of course, we have our Virtual Pro bike, we want to sell it, but we also know that we have to be realistic, and so we have to open up, and this was the plan from the start, and we will keep that. So I think we will have the first beta on Tax in a month's time, and then the other ones will follow pretty fast. So we are there, we are coming. So
when this comes out as a beta test for the general public,
yeah,
this is going to be a multiplayer game rather than what I experienced today.
In a beta version over the summer, when we begin to open up, it will be a mix.
Right, I see.
So we will start slowly, so that we don't make so many mistakes, and so it will be multiplayer, but not in a big scale. And then it will be you can ride alone, but you definitely have the multiplayer, of course. Without the multiplayer, there's no market.
Now, please feel free to hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video. I'm so excited for Veloton. I think it's gonna, once again, you're getting platforms coming in all the time now. This indoor experience is just exploding, and it's going to be amazing to see what it's going to be in 2 years' time. And I think Veloton are coming into it in a strong position already. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 3 months, 6 months, and then 12 months overall for Veloton. And then once it gets cracking, how it's going to change, or if it's going to change the face of cycling esports and indoor training. Leave a comment below and let us know if you're going to be riding Veloton, what you think the best parts of Veloton are, what you're most excited about when it comes to Veloton, and make sure you hit that like button, and if you've not done already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.